Hey guys, so a couple of weeks ago, actually months ago, that was a long gap, I did a video called Disability Q&A, like what's it like being disabled, and I answered a bunch of questions I'm normally asked because of my disability. And I had one question in there that I really wanted to answer, but I wasn't sure how to answer it, was the first problem. And there was also I kind of just felt that it needed its own video because it isn't a straightforward answer always. But I recently came across a video by Robyn which I'm going to put in the description box below, and that kind of inspired this answer to this question. So the question was, do you ever wish you weren't disabled? Or if you could, would you get rid of your disability? And the answer is kind of yes and no. So let's be honest with ourselves and what my disability actually means for my life. I've always been very positive about it, and I've never seen it negatively because it's always been a part of my life. I mean, you can't really miss what you never had, to be honest. But, you know, there are things that are difficult, like going out of the house is entertaining in itself, because you sometimes have the situation where there's no access in buildings, or transport's rubbish, or I really have to plan out where I'm going, and I really have to think about, is it worth the hassle? Because before I had my car, getting around wasn't fun. I have to fly with my parents, and that's just getting a social life. Let's not take into account the fact that every time I do leave the house, I need to bring a carer or my parent with me, or at least have someone in my presence who's willing to take me to the toilet because I can't go by myself. I mean, things tend to be a bit more expensive because I've got to take cabs. I also need to pay more at hotels because most hotels don't have accessible bathrooms with a decent price because budget hotels just can't be bothered to do it. I mean, that's just stuff leaving the house. I mean, and there's a bunch of other things that mean my life is more difficult than other people's. But the thing is, those things that make my life difficult aren't things actually to do with my disability. They're things to do with how the world is constructed and how society is shaped. And this is when I bring up the idea of the social model of disability. This model argues that disability in itself isn't disabling. What becomes disabling is the world that we live in. For example, I'm at a coffee shop. I'm about to go in. I'm dead thirsty. I need some caffeine in my life because it's been a rough Monday and I can't deal with Gwen in the office anymore. I walk up to said coffee shop and I find that it's a big, massive step to get in. They don't have a ramp, they don't have a lift, they don't even have a disabled toilet. I cannot go into that coffee shop and buy said coffee, even though the caffeine is calling me. Some would say, because of her disability, she's unable to access this space. The social model says, no, because of this building, she is unable to access this space. Her disability has nothing to do with it. And it's an understanding that the problems and difficulties that disabled people face aren't because of them, and it's not because of their condition or because of their illness or because of what they have going on. It's because we live in a world that is inaccessible, and it kind of almost takes not the blame but kind of takes the focus away from us and onto how society treats us instead, which I quite value, because I think if we all took that model and actually accepted that and viewed the world like that, there'll be a lot more accessible things in place, and it wouldn't be so difficult for us to access the outside world. So when people ask me, do you ever wish you weren't disabled, or do you ever wish your disability wasn't part of you anymore, I understand what they're saying, because they're looking at the world and they understand that there are things that I find difficult and I find different, and I don't live a normal in air quotes life compared to everyone. And they wonder, would my life be easier without my disability? But the truth is, If I was to take this whole world and just make it completely accessible in every sense and form, the only so-called problems, no, they're not fun, this I like myself. The only issues I have with my disability would be the fact that I get sore knees, my toes are pretty bashed up because of the way that I stand. I mean, I probably still need help washing, let's not lie to myself. And that's about it. Oh, and walking around in a wheelchair. I always forget that, because oh, Mary. But yeah, those are the main ones. My wheelchair, my feet, my knees, and showering. And those aren't things that I take as so bad I wish my whole life was different and that my body was different. Because everyone's bodies has limitations. There are things that everyone simply just cannot do. And that's just life. Like my mum, bless her, I love her to pieces, but she can't stand for more than 3-4 hours because it hurts her back. Or my younger brother, like, I'm sure there's stuff he can't do physically. I mean, he's probably the most fit out of all of us, I'm not gonna lie. He's probably not the best example, but you know what I'm saying, right? There are just things our bodies cannot do, or can't do as well as others, and that's not just for disabled people, that's just for people in general. So yes, if I lived in a world where there was no chance of accessibility getting better, and I had no way of doing the things that I love and no way of accessing the world around me because society just doesn't see it as something that's worth doing, then yes, I would wish that I wasn't disabled because I wouldn't be able to live my life. But thankfully I live in a world where attitudes to disability are changing. Yes, very slowly, but they're not as negative as they once was, and we're slowly making waves, and people are understanding how to view disability and how to accept it and how to help disabled people live. For that reason, I have no reason to ever feel that I need to not be disabled. Basically, no. No, I do not wish I wasn't disabled. No, I do not wish I could have got rid of my disability because it's a part of me. And the same way that I'm black and I'm a woman, I'm also disabled. And it's part of my identity. It may not be like the most forefront, most important, everyday disabled power sort of thing, but it is part of who I am, and I love it to pieces, and I wouldn't want to change it for the world. I am not sure if anything I said today made sense because I could feel my mouth moving and my brain struggling to catch up. But yes, that's my answer to that question. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It would probably help me speak better because my brain is really not working today. Okay, I'm gonna just end this real quick. Subscribe, share this video around, and until next time guys, bye bye.